Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael. I'm going to be your host for round about the next 45 minutes. This is session 6 of our VAT Proficiency badge for 2025 that we're being running at the moment. We are running the sessions again in July, just in case you haven't had a chance to attend the sessions enough to earn your digital badge. I'll tell you more about those in a moment, though. So as I say, about 45 minutes. Hopefully you can stick with me for that time this afternoon. Now, just in case anyone is new to webinars or maybe you haven't attended one in a while, I'll run you through a little bit of housekeeping just before we get stuck into the webinar itself. So as normal, you don't need a microphone for these sessions. If you do have one, it will be muted automatically. You can't unmute yourself during this session. So any questions that you have for us, you'll need to pop them into the questions panel. To access that, you just need to click the little speech bubble icon, which is on your toolbar down the right-hand side. Give it a click. And it'll expand the panel. You can then start typing in that box in the bottom right-hand corner. So remember to click send as well, otherwise we won't receive that. We'll not see it. If anyone wants a copy of today's slides, those are available to download via the handout option. There's two versions. There's the full color version and what we term also the print-friendly version as well. So it has all the sort of the color stripped out at the back of the slide. So if you were printing them out, you're not just going to use like an ink cartridge or a toner cartridge on printing the black background. So if you're after that, do choose the print-friendly version. As normal though, the detailed information that you will probably want for this session, if that's what you're after, you will find that available via our help centre. Right, now the session, as normal, it is being recorded. We tend to record all the sessions these days. We do include a link on your follow-up email. That follow-up email will be sent to you around about an hour to finish. So if you need a bit of a recap on anything we covered today, maybe maybe you're ready to run through it nearer when it's time to actually generate your VAT return. So watch out for that. We'll have that available then. It will also include links to register for our other webinars. We've got loads of sessions coming up, and we have, there'll be a link to our recordings as well. So well over 100 topics. Barry, you mentioned there, how do you know if you've attended enough sessions? Do we keep a record? Yeah, our system will keep a record of that, but I can't actually access that until we finish the sessions. So I can't tell you very easily how many you have attended. So you should have a follow-up email for each one that you have attended though. So you should get the thanks for attending. It'll have the detail on for which one you did attend. So if you do, I might as well go on to that slide now. If you do attend any 5 of the 7 VAT proficiency topics that we are running, plus one of the quiz sessions, then you will earn the digital badge that we're offering at the moment. So that will be issued, I'm hoping by the end of next week. And then if you haven't quite earned that badge by attending enough sessions, if you attend some of the sessions to top up your numbers in July, then we go for a second round at that point, just to see if anyone has topped up or maybe just achieved it in July itself. So again, the badges would be issued the week after that one. Right, so obviously plenty of opportunities for the quiz. It's sort of the mandatory part of the webinar series. Sorry, so do get signed up for that. There's 2 each time we do run the sessions. One of the bits of feedback we did get last time was, well, you're only running it once. I can't attend that one, so I can't achieve the badge. So we're running it twice in each of the times when we are running that webinar series. So hopefully. We can, you'll have an opportunity to attend that. Right, okay. Let's have a look at what we're covering today then. So we're going to look at the basics of the VAT return process, so running through that VAT return and sort of what options have you got for checking your figures. Now, we're not going to go too in depth, but we're going to look at the key options for checking those figures. So when you're looking at your VAT return, you think, right, what now? What are your options? So how do you go about sort of looking the figures and maybe comparing that VAT return against reports? So what are your options at that point? So we're going to look at the drill down feature, something that Matt would have covered in when we looked at running the VAT return itself. We're going to be looking at the detailed VAT report. So that's one of the options that you do have when you come to print. It's on step 2 of the VAT return, the option to print the VAT return itself, which is one of the, I think there's 5 reports that potentially that you could print from there. So detailed report, as it suggests, is the detailed one. It's the one that's got all the transactional information on there. Really good one to use. We'll be having a look at that and what it contains. We'll also be picking up the daybook reports as well. So also on step 2, you have an option to access your reconciliation reports. So what other reports might you use to compare against that VAT return? So we'll be looking at that as well. Now, some of those daybook reports, for all of the daybook reports, you can actually run outside of the VAT return. Some people like to do that before they even go into the VAT return itself. But we're going to look at the reports and give you an idea also in reconciling the differences, why you might have differences on the report. So we'll help you to understand it that bit better. So if you are running a report and think, well, the total on that one disagrees with that total, why is that? Hopefully you'll have a much better understanding. There's three common reasons for that one. So we'll try and cover that one in that section. I want to touch on other VAT schemes as well. So today I'm going to be concentrating on a UK VAT return. That's what I'm set up for. That's what the majority of you will be using. And I'm just going to, I'm set up for the standard VAT scheme in the demo today as well. But obviously if you're on things like cash accounting, or if you're based in Ireland, yeah, your VAT return looks a little bit different in Ireland. If you're on cash accounting, calculates in a slightly different way as well, the transaction it picks up. So again, we'll just be pointing you in the right direction as to when you run that VAT return, how can you check those figures? And again, there is loads and loads of support available via our help centre. It's a fantastic resource for you. So do use that. I'll be telling you more about it as well a little bit later. Just at the end, we'll explain more about that additional support. And if there are any outstanding questions, we'll pick those up as well. Now, we're joined today by Matt. Keep him busy, I'm sure you will. We're just sort of just about how many we got. We're just approaching about 170 of you today, so we're going to be quite busy on the questions. So do bear with us. If we don't get a chance to answer your question, we will try our best. I'm sure there'll be common themes of questions that you're going to be asking, so you won't see all of those questions and answers. Otherwise, it will be really distracting for you. The only ones you will see are where we reply to your question, or when we think, right, well, actually this is applicable to everyone and probably interest everyone, we'll do a reply to all, so that you'll see the original question and the answer as well. I'll obviously be joining in with some of those as well, where we'll run additional demos here and there if necessary. Or we might just pause and just re-go over a little bit here and there. But that's what we're going to be covering in today's session. So let's start with drill down. Now, drill down, it's one of those, and you'll see it in a moment. And again, Matt did cover this in the session where we're looking at the VAT return, where we're covering the first 3 steps when you're looking to calculate and reconcile it. How can you basically check those figures? And it's one of those features that when you use it, you'll see how easy it is to use in just a moment. But when you use it, it means you can get at summary information, but also transactional information very, very quickly. It's so easy. And normally when we get calls to our support team or via our web chat facility, the common questions, why is my figure so high or so low, or how does it calculate? I don't really understand it. When we show people the drill down, you go, all right, yeah, that's what I'm after. And quite often, just a case of pointing people in the right direction. So this is a great resource for you. So it's the list of icons down the right. Again, this is a UK VAT return that you are looking at the moment, but you'll have a similar layout if you are based in Ireland. Again, you'll have options down the side where it's drillable. So some of the boxes don't have it. So on a UK VAT return, for instance, you don't have that in for boxes 3 and 5, as they are just calculations based on the totals of the other boxes. But the other ones where you have got the icon, you'll click on it Now, when you click on it, it's going to take you to show you a table. I'll show you this live in a moment as well. It'll show you a table broken down transaction type by tax code. And from there, if you spot a figure on that table and you think, well, I want more information about that one, it's not what I was expecting it to be, you can highlight it and then double click that value and it'll take you and provide you with a list of transactions. So when you first click a value, so let's say we've clicked the value in box 1, this is the kind of table that it's going to show you. Now, the transaction types and the tax codes, they're going to differ depending on your VAT scheme, but also which box you're clicking on as well. So this is just where we've clicked on box 1. It tells me on this one, the title, and also it's telling me it's box 1 and also the total that was declared in that box. So it shows you that breakdown, and this is a good way of helping you to understand which transaction types and also which tax codes impact a specific box on the VAT return. Now, yes, there is information like that available on our help center if you want it, but this is a great way of doing that. Quite often that query where you think, well, actually the figure's a bit higher than I was expecting, why is that? You'll click on it and they'll go, oh yeah, I remember now, I've put a journal through or receipt through, or oh yeah, there was that credit that was hanging over from last month that we didn't enter in time, and it's picked it up in the current VAT period. So something like that can just maybe just give you a nudge and just a little reminder. That's why your figure's what it is. Now, obviously, you've got an option to export to Excel. You can generate the summary report as well from the VAT return, and this will give you this table breakdown for each of the boxes where that's available. Now, to drill down to the next level, you basically highlight a value. So let's say within sales invoices at T1, where it shows on that screenshot there, £633.20. If we wanted to see a breakdown of that one, we just click on it to highlight it, and then you double click it. And when you double click it, you get the equivalent of this window. Now, I haven't got many transactions on my data today. I think I've got about 12. It's enough to be able to show you what we need to demonstrate today. So level 2 is where we've drilled down on that table for invoices at T1, and then it gives you that breakdown. It gives you the transactional information. So you can get to transactional information very, very quickly. Again, you might have looked at the table and thought, well, actually, I'm not really sure from there, but invoice is a bit higher than what I thought it was going to be, or you just need to investigate it further. And then obviously drilling down to transaction level, it gives you that breakdown. You do have the option to print the list and also to send that information across to Excel should you want it, if you prefer to do your analysis in that way. So maybe rather than sit there with a printed list and a highlighter pen, sort of highlighting things as you check them off, then you might send them to Excel and just tick them off that way. Anyway, let's have a quick look at that one. A quick question from Barry there. Why are there so many T codes? Something that we have touched on, Barry, in the tax code session, that one. Different T codes have different uses. Now, some of them will actually look the same, particularly if you're in Ireland as well. If you are in the Republic of Ireland, you'll have loads of them. They all have slightly different uses, and they'll all be picked up in slightly different ways, the way that they impact on the VAT return. And it means that you've got that analysis should you need it. But there are lists of them within our help center should you need a bit more information about them and why they're used. But Ireland, it's a bit more complicated, that list in Ireland, because some of them look exactly the same. But again, it will detail that one in the help center information. Right, let's switch across to my screen. As I say, if I just look at my transactions list, I've just got a handful of transactions. So I've got some invoices, a couple of receipts, I've got a credit note on there, and I've got a journal at the end. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go into the VAT return and click VAT return at the top there. Now remember, step one, if you're running the VAT return, even whether you're just coming in to see, check their figures, give you an idea what your VAT liability might be, I would always encourage you to take that back up. It's probably the most important task Just in case you go through and you think, oh, I've just accidentally clicked reconcile, and you flag your transactions, there's no way to undo a reconciliation for the VAT other than restoring prior to you doing that. So take one at that stage when you first come in. Obviously I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to ignore my own advice there. Just 12 transactions, not the end of the world for me. Anyway, we're going to set the VAT period. So we're just going to do January of this year to March of this year. And then I'm going to click calculate. Again, if you were not sure about these settings, then do check out the recordings on running the VAT return. So all of those options are explained in detail. Right, now when we calculate, there is a late entry. So late entries normally are just transactions. Maybe they've been deleted, or maybe been amended, which are prior to the period. Or maybe you just didn't enter them in time for them to be picked up in the previous VAT quarter's return, or whatever period you run that for. So if there's just basically a handful compared to how many you include in total, that's fine. Just you want to include them. Now, if there's a few of them listed, it's sort of an all or nothing. You can't just highlight one and say, right, I want to include that one, or I want to ignore it. It's everything that's listed. It's include them all or ignore them all. If you need to make amends, maybe there's some there that shouldn't be there and you only want to include some, then what you would need to do is make a note of the numbers, close out your VAT return, and then go and amend those so that they're not picked up on the return, and then come back in the VAT return, and then you'll just be left with the ones that you do want to include. So anyway, I've just got the one. I am going to include it. And that takes us on to step 2 of the return. Now, drill down wise, so which is what we're talking about, just to bring me back on track here. You can see we've got the boxes 1 to 9. Again, this is a UK return, this one. It's the standard VAT scheme I'm set up for. So it lists the period. It's got my sort of company name at the top there as well. But it's these options here, these ones that have the icon attached to them. So these are where you can click on a value. When you do that, it brings up the value. So whichever box you're clicking on, so I'll click on box 6 as an example. Again, it'll bring up that table breaking down the value, breaking it down between transaction type and tax code. Now, obviously I can scroll down as well, and I can see the other tax codes that potentially if I'd entered transactions, appropriate transactions with that tax code would be included. Now, what was box 1 we're looking at in on the screenshots? So we got that breakdown. So we can see we got £633.20. So again, sometimes this is often enough just to jog people's memories, point them in the right direction as to what they need to go away and check. So to drill down to what we term the second level, drill down level 2 to transactional level, you just highlight your value and then double click it, and that will drill down further. So that value I just clicked on, that's £633.20. You can see we've got the breakdown here, and this is basically, these are the transactions that are contributing to that value. So it gives you the transaction numbers, the dates, and also the amounts that are contributing to that value. Again, I can print the list, I can send it to Excel. So drill down, really, really useful. Really simple option to use as well. Right, let's quickly pop back to the slides then. Next, we want to pick up on the detailed VAT report. Now, there's a series of reports that you do have available to you when you're on step 2 and you've got that print VAT return option. A lot of people think it's just say in the case of a UK VAT return, that it's just box 9. Sorry, the boxes 1 to 9, I should say. So the VAT return itself. Yeah, you can do that, and you probably will. You'll probably save a copy of it. But there are other reports available as well. And probably the detailed report is the one that you're going to be using when you start checking figures against other reports. So you've got 6, I think I said there were 5 a moment ago. So you do have 6. Some of them might be grayed out. Now, there will be grayed out where it's not applicable. So while I included that late entry, that invoice that was from the prior year that hadn't been entered in time. So it's picked up on my next VAT return, the one I've just calculated. Because I've included that one on the list there on that screenshot, you'll see that earlier unreconciled transactions is active. If I hadn't included that, it would be grayed out, a bit like the adjustments option on that screenshot there. So some people always ask, well, should I not just do all of them? Now, you can do them after you've reconciled. So later on, if you do need to go back and generate reports, maybe you just want a copy of the VAT return, you can get at that, the summary, the details, whichever ones you had available when you run the VAT return, then you would, excuse me, then you would have those options available to you as well. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the reports. So we'll go back to my screen. We're still on step 2 of that VAT return. These are the options that we're going to be looking at. So print VAT return. I'll just quickly run through the ones that are available to me. So let's just quickly preview them so you can see them first of all, before we get stuck into sort of comparing what with what. I'll just OK that criteria. Now it's going to generate the 5 reports that I'd selected here. So let's just quickly sort them out. I'm going to come back to that detailed one in a moment. Right, so the first one was the VAT return. So in this case, with it being a UK return, it just gives me a list of the summary. So date range I'd specify, the number of transactions that were included, etc. And I've got that summary of boxes 1 through to 9. So a copy of your VAT return essentially. So we'll close that one. Summary report, just to quickly outline what's on that one. It's equivalent of that drill down level 1 information. So imagine you've gone through the VAT return, you've clicked on, say, box 1, gives you the table. You've then done that for box 2, box 4, box 6, 7, 8, and 9. So this is basically a copy of that table information. If you just scroll down, we can see there's a 1 there for this is box 2. We didn't have any figures in that one. This is box 4. Next one would be, if we just scroll down a bit, box 6 again gives you the equivalent table information. Now the VAT report details is the one we're going to be using in a moment. What this one does is it breaks down basically, let's say box 1, we've clicked on it to drill down, we've got the table, and then we've looked at invoices at T1. We double clicked it and it gives us equivalent of this list of transactions here. Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It showed me the invoices that are contributing to that value. So it breaks it down in a lot of detail, this report. So each of the boxes, wherever there's a specific transaction type for a certain tax code with a value, it includes it. So we also had a value for sales credits. So saying VAT box 1, sales credits with the tax code T1. Here's a list of your transactions. So it's a great report to have if ever you have a VAT investigation from HMRC or the revenue, and they say, right, well, got your VAT return figures, but where did those figures come from? How did you calculate it? This is the report that backs up your figures. You just say, well, based on the information I've entered, this is what was calculated. These are the transactions that contribute to that value. It's not saying like transaction number 1 that you've necessarily entered it correctly. Yeah, you might have made a processing mistake here and there, but it's saying, right, your VAT return, this is the individual breakdown. These are the transactions that make up those values. Hope that makes sense. It's a good one to have. It can be a big report as well, this one. So if you think about, if you enter an invoice, for instance, that invoice, the net value is going to be included in box 6, but it will also be included in box 1. So for that one transaction, it's appearing in 2 different areas. So it can be a lengthy report. If you've got hundreds, if not thousands of transactions, obviously it can be quite a lengthy report. So you can always generate it later on, even after you've reconciled, if needed. You don't necessarily have to print them out and kill a few trees along the way. You could even just, obviously, you remember you've got the export options as well. You can save copies of your reports if you want them, but you can get them from a reconciled VAT return if needed. So we're going to come back to this report a little bit later on. Just minimize that one for the time being. We've got this one. This was the last report of the two. This one was the VAT report detailed by department. So essentially it does the same thing, could be an even lengthier report, this one. So it breaks it down not only by the individual boxes, but it does it by department number as well. Now, it could be that you're using departments, and we've covered this in the departments webinar historically as well. You might use departments for different branches of your business, different locations. You can use it for a whole host of things. So that might be a valid way of you doing that, sort of checking your figures. Now, the other report, we'll just get that one from the background. This is essentially the detailed VAT return as well, but this time it picks up that the earlier unreconciled transactions that I chose to include. Now, these transactions are included in the main one, but if you need that breakdown, the ones that you have included, you want that on a separate report, you can get at that one. But it's mainly this one that we're going to be looking at a little bit later on. So we're going to come back to this one in a few minutes' time. Right, now the detailed VAT report, if we just go back to the slides for a moment, obviously it provides that box by box breakdown for your transactions. So you would normally use this if you are going to go in depth, you would compare that against the likes of your day books reports. We'll come on to those in just a moment. Now, if you're in Ireland, the VAT report is essentially going to provide you the same level of information. So obviously it looks a little bit different. You've got different boxes, but it'll run through it in exactly the same way. So a drill down will work in the same way as well. So no difference. So the process we're going through today is pretty much the same. Right, next we're going to look at the day book reports, or the day books reports, I should say. Always slips in my mind, is it day book or day books? I think day books is the right one there. Now, the reports you're going to run and how you access these, you can access your day books reports outside of the VAT return. So some people like to generate them, by going into customers, by going into suppliers, by going into the bank area. But the reports are available from within the VAT return itself. Again, on step 2, next to that print VAT return, you've got the reconciliation reports option. Now, when you go into this option, you'll see this in a moment. It will display a folder which is determined by the VAT scheme that you're set up for in Sage 50 accounts. And it will give you or access to the core ledgers, or the ledgers where you're likely to need to run daybook reports from. So for instance, if you're on standard VAT, you're going to have a bank folder. So you would want a list of your bank payments and your bank receipts. Customers, once again on standard VAT, you'd be interested in things like the invoices report, the credits report. So again, a list of those types of transactions. So all this does is it brings those day books reports into one area. So rather than you dot around into the bank ledger beforehand, the customer's ledger, and then reports, and then do the same for suppliers in nominals, it just brings them into one area. So you're not hunting around looking for them. Barry, you mentioned there, why would there be a difference between the day books reports and the VAT return? We're going to come on to that one. Just bear with me there, Barry. You're just slightly ahead of the game. So we're going to be looking at the day books reports just to give you an idea of, again, what they show. So basically a daybooks report, when you run it, and the names of the reports will vary as well depending on your version, but I'm using version 32 this afternoon. And what it does when you run the report, it will show a specific list of transactions that falls within the date range you entered. So a sneak peek there for you, Barry, jumping the gun, yeah, is that you will specify a date range when you run these reports. Now, because you'll enter the same date range as your VAT return, if you've got any late entries, they will not be included on your daybooks report. Something to bear in mind, and we'll be touching on that one in the example in just a moment. But daybooks reports are very specific. They will pick up a specific transaction type. So in this example, we've got a daybooks customer transactions report. When we run that report, which you'll see in a moment, it will give you a list of what transaction type do you want to see on the report. So this one's specifically being run. It tells me, hopefully you can see my mouse there, top right, transaction type, I've specified invoices. On slightly older versions, you will have separate reports for these. So you will actually have a daybooks customer invoices report. You will have a separate report called daybook customer credits, or sales credits, I think they're called. So you'll have separate ones. They're still listed separately within the bank section. Now, if you're checking off individual totals, so using the drill down, you're looking at box 1, for instance, the equivalent information would be, so for the total for invoices, for instance, it would be the daybook customer transactions, and you would run that for your sales invoices. The total for the credits would be the daybook customer transactions for credit notes. For receipts, it refers to bank receipts, cash receipts, and credit card receipts. Now, the difference between those three, it's all down to how you've got your bank accounts flagged. So what type of account is it flagged as? Is it flagged as a current account, a cash account, or a Visa account? So different types of receipts or payments from those accounts will have different transaction types. So I'll come on to that one in a moment. I'll try and explain that in a bit more detail. And then finally, you've got that journal credits column. So you've got a daybooks nominal ledger report. Now, if we compare that to the VAT report detailed, that top section, VAT box 1, which was sales invoices at T1, again, we would use the daybooks report for that one. You'd compare it. Now, bear in mind the daybooks report isn't tax code specific. So it's just going to give you a list of all reports. You might have entered an invoice with a T9 tax code. It will be listed on the daybooks because it is say an invoice transaction, but it wouldn't be included on the VAT report because it would be classed as being non-VATable. So it wouldn't be picked up on the VAT return report itself. So if you're looking at that VAT report detailed, you've got a list there of which daybook reports that you'd be using to maybe try and just confirm your lists a little bit and check things off. So again, this is all in the handout if you want them. So just very quickly, having a look at those daybook reports, I'll just show you where you run them from. Just close out of that VAT report details. So on step 2 of the VAT return, you've got your reconciliation reports folder. It'll bring up this window, and obviously I've got nothing flagged as a favorite yet with regard to the reconciliation reports, but if I expand that folder, and then if I expand this, if I just click standard VAT, again, nothing listed, so I'll need to expand the standard VAT folder. If you're on cash accounting, then again, your folder would reflect that one. I've got a screenshot of that one, and I'll show you a little bit later on. But if we go into the customers as an example, this is where, depending on your version, how up to date you are, if you're bang up to date, then you're going to have the same list as myself. It'll just say daybooks customer transactions details. Now, when I run this report, it's going to ask me, first of all, for the transaction type. If you're on an older version and it just lists that, so daybooks customer invoices, daybook customer credits, then you won't have this criteria, you won't have this element. Just to make things a little bit simpler, we've merged some of the reports together. So it's just a case of you choosing what are the transactions that you're looking or wanting to include on the report? So in this case, it's invoices. Specify your date range. So ideally, you want that to be the same as your VAT period, which in my case was 1st of January to the 31st of March. Quickly going through in my head there, that rhyme. Is it 31 days? Obviously, I could, just to make sure, I could do it via the little calendar icon as well. And do remember you've got this little date picker tool as well. So this little date picker tool, whenever you ask for a date range when you're running a report, this little option here will give you some of the most common date ranges that you're after. I always think for VAT, it's a shame it doesn't just say this sort of my current quarter or the last quarter. They're the ones that you're likely to want to report on. So anyway, specify your date range. I'm just going to leave everything else as is. I don't want to restrict it in any way. I just want a list of invoices that are dated within the relevant period. So we'll click OK. Let's zoom in again. Let's zoom in a bit so you can see that. I can hardly see that myself on my screen. So again, this just gives me, in this case, it's a list of invoices. You saw that on the screenshot a few moments ago. It gives me the things like the transaction number, obviously the date of the transaction. Obviously, they'll all fall within the date range I've specified. Obviously, they are invoices. And then we've got details such as the net amount, tax amount, and the tax code used as well. So it's these reports that you're going to start comparing. So probably the VAT return detailed against your daybook reports. Now, if we just go back to the slides, and this is where you're going to start sort of, I suppose, checking things off. Now, some people will go really in depth into this. They will literally go through ticking off all the transactions. Others will literally, and you might think, well, surely not, but yeah, others will literally just calculate the VAT return and just say, well, that's the figures. And you might think, well, actually, I'm none the wiser. I don't really understand it enough to see any different. It's what Sage has calculated. So yes, Sage has calculated based on what you've keyed in. So yeah, you never know. There might be some differences, and by running through the reports, it'll help you learn a bit more about your VAT return. So how does it calculate? What's included? What are the pitfalls? Have you missed something out? Is it just a processing error? So ideally, you want to compare your VAT report, your detailed report, the one we looked at earlier, to the likes of your individual daybook reports. So this first section here, box 1, sales invoices at T1. If we're comparing this to the daybooks report, you're going to see, in this case, there's some differences. So we've got transactions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here on the VAT report, whereas on the daybooks report, we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there are some differences there. So 2, 3, 4, 5, they're common to both reports in this instance. So can easily tick those off. Yes, they are being included. But what about any differences? So these are the differences. Now the VAT return, the VAT report detailed, it includes the likes of transaction number 1. That was the earlier unreconciled transaction, so that late entry. I chose to include that. Something to be aware of, that the VAT report itself does include that. It's included in the VAT return calculation. But the daybooks report, so the report on the right, it doesn't include transaction 1, and that's because we've had to specify that date range. And obviously that transaction, it falls outside of that date range. It's prior to it, so it excludes it. Now the transaction that's highlighted on the right-hand side is transaction number 6. Now the reason that's not included on the VAT return, so at this top section here, is that, well, it's a T0 transaction. This box that we're looking at on the VAT report, well, this one is for invoices at T1. So I've now accounted for the two differences. Why are there differences between these reports? So there could be a number of things. But we're looking specifically at this section here. So yeah, you've got your late entry included. The other transactions are included on the VAT report, but this is just a list of invoices at T1. The invoices at T0, well, T0, you would normally use that for zero rated transactions, so it wouldn't attract a VAT percentage, or the rate would be zero, so no VAT value. So it's not included in sales invoices T1. It would be, in this case, it would be sales invoices T0. The only way you're going to see that is when you're looking at the breakdown of box 6, when it starts looking at the net value of those transactions. So you can see transaction 6 on the daybook report, it does have a net amount, but it doesn't have a tax amount. It's T0. So the main reasons for differences, if that's what you're comparing, is obviously the earlier unreconciled transactions, that late entry, they show on the VAT return report, but not your daybook. Tax codes with no tax value, so likes of using T0 and T2. They'll be included on the daybooks report, as would T9 if you've entered a T9 invoice for whatever reason. So it will be included on the daybooks report because it's an SI transaction and it might fall within the date range, but because it's T9 is non-VATable, it wouldn't be included on the VAT return itself. So it's just making sure that what you're comparing is like with like. So Barry, I know you jumped the gun a little bit earlier, but I hope that explains the reasons for the differences there. So normally it's going to be things like date range or the tax code used. Or you've just made a right mess of running the report itself. Hope that makes sense though. Now, once you've done that, if I just go back a slide as well, when you're comparing that, also once we've ticked off your transactions, saying, right, yeah, well, actually, I agree with those ones, they're right. You would then just, again, start moving down. So the next section here, it would be still VAT box 1, it's sales credits at T1. So you get that breakdown, and you would then just, again, compare that to the relevant daybooks report. Again, start ticking them off. And then you're into VAT box 1 receipts. Now I want to quickly show you the receipts, just very, very quickly. If I go back to my screen, just in relation to the daybook reports. So if we go into the bank area, you'll see that rather than just have one report in us, when we run it, say, right, we want to pick up bank payments or, bank receipts or cash receipts or credit card receipts, you'll see that this time these are listed individually. If you've not seen these before, so a bank receipt it would be posted, it's a BR transaction. A cash receipt would be a CR transaction, and a credit card receipt, VR, Visa receipt. So the daybook reports are picking up specific transaction types. So that's something to be aware of. So you may actually find that in your bank accounts list, you've got them flagged as different account types. So something to be aware of if you are running the reports just from the main part of the software only. That's something to be aware of. Right, now just to quickly mention, if we go back to the slides, what about other VAT schemes? Well, process is pretty much the same. Yes, you could have some very bit more specific VAT schemes, things like partial exemption. There are guides available from our help centre on how to check that. But what if you're on cash accounting? Again, another popular scheme. So when you drill down, again, it just gives you that breakdown. So if you were to drill down on box 1, for instance, tax code's pretty much the same, but it's picking up different transaction types this time. So your calculation is based around sort of the movement of funds, that the money in, money out, as opposed to what's being invoiced. So on the standard VAT scheme, we had sales invoices, sales credits, but under the cash accounting scheme, what you've got is you've got sales receipts and sales on account. You've also got sales payments. Receipts column, exactly the same, and journal credits, exactly the same for both schemes. So again, gives you that breakdown. When you're using drill down, helps you understand what's being picked up. When you come to run your reports as well, the reconciliation reports, if you want to go down that route again, just to sort of check off your figures. Again, when you get to the likes of customers, it would give you a whole host of different reports. So you don't need the daybooks customer invoices report. Instead, you're going to have daybooks customer receipts, customer refunds. They're the ones that you're going to use to sort of check against your detailed report. But again, it's just methodical, working through, comparing, sort of trying to compare like with like. Can you spot any differences? Is there a transaction on your daybooks report which maybe you have entered it with a wrong tax code? Again, working through it's a bit like when you do your bank reconciliation. The idea of that is you're working through your bank statement step by step, just to make sure your accounts are accurate. You're comparing what you've entered into Sage against that bank statement, just to make sure everything's accurate and has been entered correctly. Right, now does just about bring us to the end of the session. So I hope that's given you a little bit of food for thought, just to point you in the right direction. Maybe it has pointed you in the wrong direction. But let's fingers crossed it is the right direction. So additional support. So loads available. Now, when you access our help center, and actually I'll quickly show you this one. So I'll pop back to my screen just to quickly demonstrate the help center, how easy it is to access. Now, if you're in your software at any point and you need a bit of help on whatever it is you're working on, just press F1. You've also got help links, top right-hand corner, just about on, I think, every screen within the software. But you can always just go to your web browser. And if you go sage.co.uk/help, if you're in Ireland, you can always go to Sage, I think it's sage.ie/help. Choose your product though, so Sage 50 Accounts Desktop. And then from here, you've got this panel called Manage Your VAT. So rather than you search around, if you just click Manage Your VAT, it's then going to ask you for your region. So are you GB or Northern Ireland or your Republic? Just give it a click. It'll give you things about submitting your VAT return, understanding tax codes in a bit more detail. Quite a few questions come through earlier about why didn't I tick the box about should I include should I include reconciled transactions? Not normally, you wouldn't normally tick that box at all. Matt explained that one in the session earlier. It was last week when you ran that one. But again, you'll find loads of information in here for you. We'll just have a quick look at Ireland. Again, a lot more tax codes in Ireland. So if you do need that breakdown, we just access it. For those in the UK that you've never seen Irish tax codes before, there's loads of them. So you've got it easy here in the UK. So we've got loads of them in Ireland. And again, loads of them look like they are exactly the same thing. A lot of them will have the same settings, but when it comes to reporting, so look how many we have. We're just about up to, how far do we go? Going to crumping my finger scrolling down here. So we go up to T50. So there are a lot more tax codes in use if you're in Ireland. If you need that list and what they're used for, how they impact on your VAT return, that's where you'll find it. I can't remember who asked about that now. But again, do check out the information from our help center. Right, now, if you've got any final questions, if you want to quickly pop them in, we've been joined by, we've still got Matt and Abby on hand. So we'll pop your questions in there if you've got any final questions. And again, we'll try and pick them up. Remember, you've got the opportunity to download the handout if you do want a copy of that. But again, the handouts are never meant to be detailed step-by-step guides. Just a little bit of structure to what we're demoing for you, telling you a little bit about. If you want the detailed step-by-step guides, then Help Centre's the place to get that. Now, the recording of this morning, this afternoon session, it is available. It will be included on your follow-up email. You'll receive that email around about an hour's time. It's got the links on so that you can register for our other webinars. Now, these sessions for the VAT badge, Remember, if you need to attend 5 of the topics, 5 of the 7, plus one of the quiz sessions. If you can't do it this week, to top that up, you have the opportunity during July. So to attend, we're running exactly the same sessions, and we've got a couple of the quiz sessions which are running then as well. So it might just make the difference and help you in that badge. Right, now just to quickly, well, we give you a chance to start popping in your questions, just in case anyone has any. I'll just quickly mention a little bit about Copilot. Now, we are running loads of sessions on this at the moment. We run them on a weekly basis. If you want to find out what Copilot's all about, so it's like your AI digital assistant Copilot. So we're helping you to sort of gain insights into your business. So providing you with insights on helping you to manage debts, manage stock, improve your data accuracy as well. We all make mistakes, so the Copilot will try and help you identify that. So in relation to what we covered today, have you entered something unusual? Maybe with a tax code you don't normally use when you enter a certain type of transaction, or one that you use rarely. It'll help with that sort of thing. It'll identify and just say, right, is this right or not? But the webinar will also cover the enhancements to Copilot that were introduced in version 32. If you've not heard about those yet, again, get yourself registered, come along, see that one in action. And then finally, just before we open up the questions, let me quickly thank you for coming along today. Hope you have enjoyed it. I'm hoping you feel a lot more confident. It's always a little bit daunting when you do your VAT return, thinking, right, is it right? Now, without checking every individual transaction in depth and have you entered it correctly and is it right, we've looked at the basics today as to what you can check against what to ensure that the right transactions are being included and not missing from your VAT return. Now, as you leave, as normal, there will be a survey pop-up. So if you can take a minute to complete that, leave any thoughts, ideas, pop your comments on there. What did you think of the webinar? How could we improve it? Topics you'd like to see covered next? Let us know. Should take you about a minute max. Your follow-up email will be with you in around about an hour's time. Margaret, you mentioned there is Copilot still aimed at UK only. It's not necessarily aimed at UK only, but it's currently only available in the UK before we extend that. So it's only UK. And Barry, you mentioned there, do we know when Copilot is coming for the client manager? I don't know that yet, unfortunately. I haven't heard any rumblings of it just yet. So it might be a case of watch this space. Right, I want to go back to Zoe's question because this links in with quite a few questions that we've had during the session today. And we'll probably continue to get it throughout the VAT returns. As soon as you touch on the VAT return, everyone, we get this asked this question all the time. So I'm going to pick up on it. The question is, how do we clear transactions we want to ignore in the VAT return? And also I suppose the other question in relation to this as well is, should I tick that box when I'm running the VAT return? So I'll cover these two as the two questions we're going to cover today. So I'm just going to close out first of all, and I'm going to go back in. So when we come in, step one, you take your back up, you specify your period, whatever your VAT quarter is, or you might do it monthly, depending on your agreement. So first of all, we set our VAT period. We had a few questions early on about this as well. Include reconciled transactions. Now, when you're generating your VAT return, the transactions that are going to be included haven't yet been reconciled. They won't be flagged. So you don't tick this box. This is a historic box, and the reason for that being there historically, and I mean historically as well, is what we used to find when people did quarterly returns is people would go in and they would reconcile their first month. Then they would do month 2. Then when the time's right, they would do month 3. And what they would do is they would then run a VAT return for the full quarter, and they would tick that box. So that's one use for that one. Doesn't really work, that one, anymore. Second reason for using this is really if instructed to do so by tech support. It might be that you've deleted a VAT return from your system and you just want to see roughly what the figures were like at the time. It's never guaranteed to do exactly that though. So you just don't tick it, leave it blank. I will get, we wouldn't get any queries if it wasn't there. That'll probably be my recommendation for the next VAT return wizard. Just remove this checkbox completely. You just won't use it. Leave it blank. So when you specify your period, what the VAT return's looking for when you go to calculate is it's looking for transactions that you haven't yet included on a VAT return. So it's looking for those transactions which are VATable under your VAT scheme, that fall within your VAT period and haven't yet been VAT reconciled. It will also look for transactions that are VATable under your VAT scheme, which are prior to your period and also haven't been VAT reconciled, so haven't been accounted for on a VAT return. So that's the late entry that we're talking about. Now, just coming back to Zoe's question. So when I click the VAT return, so I've got a transaction here. Now, Zoe's question was, how do we clear transactions we want to ignore in our VAT return? So let's say I'm looking at this transaction. It's an invoice. I can see the date of that transaction, and it's a T1, so it's a VATable transaction. Now, let's say for whatever reason, this transaction, I don't want it to be included on a VAT return. Whatever it is, it could be a receipt, it could be a journal, it could be a bank payment, it could be a purchase invoice, whatever it is. For a transaction not to be included, for me to sort of ignore that one, what we want is we need the transaction to be in a position where it doesn't sort of fall within the VAT period and be a VATable transaction, or it isn't prior to the period and be a VATable transaction that hasn't yet been reconciled. So the only thing I could do for this one, with it being an invoice, is if it's entered with a T1, so let's say I don't want that to be picked up. So I can do a couple of things. So one is, first of all, make a note of that transaction number. Number one in my case, nice and easy. So if I just close out of the VAT return, and I'll go into transactions, this one here, I don't want to be included. So for it not to be included on a VAT return, one of two things. Potentially I could delete it as well, delete it and then run my VAT return and then maybe re-enter it. One way around it. But the other one, the only other options I would have would be to, if I edit it, I could change the date. So I could temporarily date that transaction beyond my VAT period. So if I put it into the month of April, for instance, let's just say the 1st, that's then not going to be picked up when I run the VAT return. The other option, of course, would have been I could go in and I could amend the tax code as well, make it a non-VATable transaction. But in this case, I've just changed the date, so I'll save that one. Do I want to post these changes? If I choose yes, and then what I'll do is I'll go back to the VAT return. I'll specify my date range. So January through to, try that one again. Click happy now. January through to March. And if I calculate my VAT return now, it doesn't give me that message saying you've got a late entry. Obviously, if I had other late entries, they'd be listed, but this transaction that I've just amended, it's now no longer, it doesn't fall within the date rate, the VAT period, it doesn't fall prior to the period. So it doesn't get identified for the VAT return this time round. So we just okay that one, and that's now no longer being included. So I know it's not included in box 1 now. If I drill down as well, double click it, you can see transaction 1. Hope you got a good memory there. It's just not included in box 1 now. So that's a way of excluding it. So you've got to make a change to that transaction to mean that it won't be picked up by the VAT return. Probably changing the date is the easiest thing to do. If you've got loads of transactions historically that maybe you didn't reconcile at the time and they're coming up each and every time, then normally in that position, what you do is you'd run a dummy VAT return. So let's say I had loads of transactions from 2023. I wasn't generating VAT return on Sage. What I could do is just run a VAT return for 2023, include those transactions, and then just flag them as being reconciled. It's a period I've done manually, or maybe I use some other software. Tracy, you mentioned that you thought this box was to do with bank reconciled. No, so you're quite right. Hopefully you've just had your light bulb moment. Others maybe still waiting for that. Others will have had that, straight away into so well, it's really obvious. But some things sometimes are staring in the face. So the little question mark there as well, it'll tell you. So I actually should probably say VAT reconciled. I'll maybe feed that back just to spell it out a bit. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. We're going to end the webinar just at that point. So once again, many thanks for coming along. I hope you have enjoyed it. Just give you a little bit more confidence when it comes to running the VAT return. Gives you an idea of what to check when you next run your VAT return, and what to look out for. So many thanks for coming along. I hope you have enjoyed it. Do take that minute to complete the survey. Thanks for Matt supporting today, and Abby, who's also been on hand. Your follow-up email will be with you in around about an hour's time. So if and when you need it, you've got the link so you can have a bit of a recap. Get yourself registered for some of those other webinars as well. We've just literally recently, I think it was just end of last week, we published the July sessions. So those are available to book onto now. A couple of new sessions. We'll be looking at AI document capture. Tomorrow, Matt is just looking at AI and what it means for small business. So not necessarily Sage related, just a general topic on AI, the impact it can have, what it means to you. So proven very popular already, that one. We've got about 400 registered for that one already. So again, get yourself registered if you are interested. Links on your follow-up email. Get that around about an hour's time. So once again, many thanks for coming along. Hopefully I'll see you on the other sessions. I think my next session is the quiz, or my main involvement. So I'll see you either Thursday, Friday if you're coming along to that one. But I think Matt's taking you tomorrow through VAT corrections. So hopefully I'll be able to support you on that as well. Many thanks and take care.